And joining us here at Stamford Bridge this evening, we've got Rio Ferdinand, Frank Lampard and Steven Gerrard. And Rio, we've seen lots of good knockout games already, but we've all been looking forward to this one.
This is huge. I mean, we've been in here soaking up the atmosphere for an hour or so before kick-off, so I can't wait. I've played here many times against Frank's great team, and it's a hard place to come. And when this crowd get behind them here, Champions League night, Messi and Co in town, I'm looking for a lot of noise and crash bang wallop game. It
should be excellent. You've played in this fixture many times yourself, Frank. It's a special one, isn't it?
Incredible memories. It was always such a high level game. You know, you always knew you were encountering, you know, the best player in the world, Lionel Messi, and probably maybe the second and third best player in the world in their team. One thing for Chelsea though, at home here, we always thought we had a chance. We felt the pitch was tighter, as Rio just said. We felt we could be physical with them, get close to them and try and upset their game, and we had a lot of joy over the years. But this is a slightly new Chelsea generation, so they're going to have to win it in their own way.
This is the sort of game that can define you in many ways as a footballer.
For certain, you know, a game of this magnitude, the players will all be aware of that. They'll want to be that player that puts in that special performance or has that special moment that can win the team such a big game.
OK, let's get the team news from Des Kelly.
Antonio Conte says he's been losing sleep. He's not been sure what side to pick for this one. Well, let's have a look at the Chelsea side that's been giving him insomnia. The first issue was whether he'd restore Morata to the side or go with new signing Giroud, who's been performing well. In fact, he's gone with neither. Conte's chosen a quick, mobile front three. Willian's been in tremendous scoring form. Pedro won 20 trophies with Barca, and Hazard will be a false number 9 with licence to roam. Morata and Giroud, they're on the bench. Marcos Alonso's back after a 3-game absence. Bakayoko's injured. Rudiger gets the nod ahead of Cahill at the back. As for the Barcelona team, they're in great form. They've just equalled their best ever unbeaten run in La Liga of 31 games. Paulinho, the ex-Spurs player, has played a big part in that. He starts. The former Liverpool favourite Coutinho's ineligible, having played for the Mersey club in the group stage. And yes, Messi starts. So does Suarez. 47 goals between them. So there's the teams. Let's hope Antonio Conte has good reason to sleep well tonight.
Yeah, it'd be interesting looking at the Chelsea starting lineup and particularly the formation that generally Conte plays. The first thing that strikes me, Stephen, looking at that is there's a lot on the shoulders of Kante and Fabregas.
There is, and I think Kante can certainly handle that. You know, he's very mobile, he covers a lot of ground, he almost does the job of 2 people in there. But the concern is Fabregas, at his age, his style. You know, he's more of a passer rather than being mobile, and they outnumber you in the middle of the park when you play against Barcelona. So it's very important that the likes of Pedro and Willian do come in there and try and make up the numbers to give them the support they need.
They've got Hazard that looks like he's going to play in that they call a false 9, even though he'll have a 10 on his back, obviously. Massive amount of ability. It's time he stepped up, isn't it, to prove it at the very top?
Yes, he's 27 years of age now, and we're all talking about his quality week in, week out in the Premier League, and I think he has taken his game on to new levels. We're seeing him, when he does been playing at times this year, he can be very dangerous. I want to see him higher. False 9, I don't want to see him too high. He can roam, but Chelsea will need a presence that's going to at least keep the Barcelona back central defenders busy. But he is the man, without a doubt, who has the magic to unlock the door. I mean, there are good players in this Chelsea team, but Eden Hazard, when he's on form, is the one that's the difference. And now he's taking these shots on from the edge of the box where he might not have done before, which makes him even more dangerous in terms of scoring goals.
I mean, his numbers are decent, but they're not anything special compared with some of perhaps the real greats in the game at the present, Rio. Has he got something still to prove?
Yeah, he has, but I think he's been in the Chelsea team, especially in Europe, that's kind of been a bit in transition. So he can't take the full responsibility for that in terms of his numbers. But I do believe that he's a player here that can unlock this game for Chelsea. He's the talisman. He's the guy that they're going to look to. And the likes of Umtiti and my old friend PK, there'll be a nervousness around him. When he gets the ball in good areas, he will create nerves, and then it's about what he does. What's his end product? What's his decision making at this level? Yeah,
he's a wonderful footballer to watch, that is for sure. In goal, Courtois, could be a busy night for him, Stephen.
Yeah, you'd expect Barcelona to have the moments in the game. He will be busy, but he's capable. You know, he's a top-class goalkeeper, can be world-class on any given match, and you know, I expect him to bail Chelsea out today. He's done it many a times before, and you must have that confidence as a Chelsea defender knowing he's behind you. He's very safe for me.
Makes a real difference. Let's have a look at that team we'll be facing up against Barcelona this evening, the formation we suspect that they'll play. Well, it was a flicker. That was long enough for you to take it in, surely, back at home, wasn't it? Here you go. Let's have another go. There it is. It's kind of, they've been playing a diamond in midfield a little bit, and Messi has very much a free roll. Goes anywhere he wants, really.
He does, and rightly so. Who's going to tell him not to? What he can do to the opposition. I think this is a slightly different Barcelona team to previous years. Possession in midfield is key. They've got a diamond in there to try and dominate possession, which is where they start from. Maybe not quite as elaborate and open as teams of before with the Neymars in there, but maybe a little bit more tough to break down. And then when you have those two players up front, then you're going to cause anyone up.
He might make them harder to beat. Valverde, the way he plays, a little bit more cautious, not quite as free-flowing the football on occasions.
Well, their defensive record suggests
much better.
They've got a much better defensive record. They're harder to break down and get through. But like the boys were saying before, I worry about Chelsea today in the midfield areas. And you've got 4 players. Messi will drop in there sometimes to make 5. So that's going to be against Kante and against Fabregas. They're going to need people around them. They're going to need to be vocal and getting people in to help them dominate that midfield. And
one of the world's greatest centre forwards. You've played with him, of course, for a number of years at Anfield. Luis Suarez didn't perform brilliantly in the group stage. Early in the season, he didn't look entirely fit, but he's back on top form, Steve.
Yeah, he looked a yard off it. Certainly after his form last year, he was very, very consistent. I think he had an injury issues and a little bit, off form, but he's certainly back in form now. I think he's 15 goals in 17 games. He never stops moving in the box. And he scores world-class goals, tap-ins, he scores all kinds of different goals.
Yeah. He certainly is a wonderful talent. Lots to come as we count down to kick-off in about 35 minutes' time. And next competition, 12 times they've met in the Champions League, with 10 of those games in the knockout stages. And what drama there's been. Here's one of Chelsea's biggest fans to relive some of those unforgettable moments. Sweet Frank, we love you too. Terrific memories. I mean, you must bring back a few there.
Goosebumps.
Yeah,
incredible nights, for good and for bad. Look back on them.
Best? Of those,
the Champions League,
yeah.
Torres going through,
yeah.
To beat them with 10 men was something special. Yeah, this goes back to 2005. There's my regular 6-yard tap-in, or 4-yard tap-in, I think, but John Terry gets a winner. This is one of the best nights at Stamford Bridge of Champions League football in my era, certainly. Yeah. One of the worst, Iniesta, a player I admire greatly, one of the greatest of our era game. But we deserved to win that game. We should have had at least a couple
penalty decisions. I remember I was at that game.
Yeah, very, very hard luck for us, and you wonder whether it could happen. And then Ramirez with an absolutely sublime finish. I didn't have any other options than to try and play him through. We didn't get out of our half much in that first half. That gave us a lifeline in that game. And then every Chelsea fan will tell you about.
Did you fancy him? Tell me.
I did. I did fancy him. It felt like an eternity for him to actually get round the goalkeeper. But it felt right. At that stage, we knew there was a bit of fate involved in our run that year. And we won. But incredible nights, for good or for bad.
Look at Messi. We have to look at Messi every time we play Barcelona play, because he's phenomenal. But he's this remarkable record of 8 games without a goal against Chelsea.
Yeah, I mean, we never criticise him. It's always.
Well, we can criticise him in his performances against Chelsea, perhaps.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, obviously he missed a pen last year. I'm sure he'll be trying to put that record straight tonight. He'll be a menace all night tonight, I'm sure. But it is strange, because normally he does the damage against everyone he comes up against. You see all types of goals, but it's not just the goals, it's the movement, it's the speed, it's the assists, and the amount of people you have to put around him to try and stop him. It creates spaces everywhere else.
And the mad thing is about him is that anywhere in the opposing team's half, he's a threat to your goal. Yeah. He could be anywhere. There's not any other player really in the world that is like that you'd have to set up like that for. And like Stevie said, there ain't a one player you can say, go on man, mark him. Yeah. You need groups of players. You need players in bunches to really get hold of this boy.
His numbers, Frank, are astounding.
Well, we can't compare anybody. Well, only Ronaldo compares to it, but I think Messi probably by the time he finishes will be at an even higher level in numbers. I mean, this is, 39 hat-tricks, 50 goals a season, 5 times. I mean, he's taken everything to new levels. You can't analyse him. It's very tough for Chelsea to watch their videos midweek and go, we're going to do this to Lionel Messi. Because
how do you possibly face up against? People talk about man-to-man, but he drifts into positions that will take you right out of the play.
I think man-to-man ruins your own organisation. Yeah. He would take Kante, for instance, and stick him on the left wing and leave Chelsea open midfield. I think you have to say to every player, the nearest player to him, get close to him, put him under pressure, get his head down, don't let him feel like he can do what he wants on the pitch, because otherwise the magic wand comes up.
I remember we said exactly the same thing in '86, just before we played Diego Maradona's Argentina. Didn't work. On the defensive side, Chelsea have got some very reliable performers. Azpilicueta in particular. He's Mr. Consistency, isn't he?
Yeah, I put him down as probably the best out-and-out defender. Here, this is what you want to see him today. coming out of the defence, being brave and defending on the front foot, going out in 1v1 situations, saying, go on then, you beat me, you try and beat me, backing himself. That's what you need from top defenders. I think in the Premier League he's the best out-and-out defender. Here, backing himself pace-wise, with electrifying pace from Rashford, he matches him step for step there. And what I like about him, he's aggressive, but also he's someone I think who's a leader. He's come into that role of being a leader in this team through the way he performs, the way he applies himself. And I hear Frank, who's at the training ground, speak about him, that day to day he sets the tone, he sets the standards in terms of the way he treats training, and that reflects into the games.
He trains every day the same. I think he played every minute of last season in the Premier League. Yeah. He's the go-to man for Conte because he sets the tone. That front-footed defending, that work ethic, the way he defends, the way he'll throw himself in front of balls, which he might have to do tonight. He's the go-to man for sure. And like he's one of the ones that the Chelsea fans at the end of the season will say he might be our player of the year.
The interesting thing as well, Stephen, is the fact that he plays just as comfortably on the right-hand side of a three as he does as a full-back or wing-back or what do you want to call it.
Yeah, well, good players can. They can adapt and they can play anywhere in the pitch. You know, he's a manager's dream. He'd get in 99% of any team in the world because any manager would want him. He's always available. He's robust. And, you know, listening to Frank, you know, he seems like he's so professional as well. So, yeah, he's a fantastic player.
OK, well, they're the views on the pitch. Let's go pitch side with our co-commentators tonight, Glenn Hoddle and Des Kelly.
Thanks very much, Gary. Thank you. Glenn, this false number 9 that the boys have been talking about in the studio there, you have a problem with Hazard in this role. Why is that?
Well, a little bit. I think it can work. The two centre-backs they won't know whether to go in, and if they can rotate it. If Pedro and then Willian and Hazard rotate it and take turns. But I think if Hazard stays down the centre, for me, I want to see Eden Hazard faced up, attacking players. And sometimes he gets his back to play too many times, and I want to see him attacking people, taking them on as we've seen. I think he needs a focal point sometimes with one of the bigger players, that Morata or Giroud. But we'll wait and see. But if they keep rotating, it could really work wonders for them.
How do Morata and Giroud feel? We'd watch Morata walk out here and his chin is on his chest.
Yeah, his attitude wasn't great walking out. Giroud's was all right, to be fair to him, but one of them would have thought they were going to be starting today. But I like the shape that they've got. They've got to stop the Barca fullbacks coming through. They didn't do that against Roma.
It's significant yesterday that Conte put Hazard up for the chat. He wanted him to face all the questions, the comparisons to Messi. Big night for him.
Yeah, massive night for him, and I think this is the sort of stage against Messi on the same pitch. If he can step up and play like we know he can do, domestically particularly, then I think it's a great night for him. But I wish he was playing in a different role, I really do.
Do you think Chelsea would still be in this going back to the Camp Nou after tonight?
Well, they've got to play 9 out of 10. Every player's got to be 9 out of 10 tonight. But you know what? With Lionel Messi, wow, he could just turn it on. Even if he's not playing well, he's somebody drops his shoulder, puts it in the back of the net. How can you predict any scoreline with him on the pitch?
That's a beautiful get out. Back to you, Gary.
The Barcelona players coming out a little bit after the Chelsea ones. They're always together, aren't they, Suarez and Messi? Just over 20 minutes to kick off here in West London. And